Hello and welcome to the Cafe Nightly Show. I am your host, the Goldsmith. Ooh, the lighting is bad. Let's fix it just a touch. Just a touch. Ooh, now I look real white. All right. Welcome to the Cafe Nightly Show. I'm your host, the Goldsmith. It is the 6th of August, 2024. And we've got some interesting things. We have an opportunity to look at a couple things that have been a little bit of controversy and being able to, have a little more definition and clarity here. Being able to go over and actually discuss the realities of a couple things with Sparklet staking. Because again, there are some benefits for one exchange. There's benefits for the other. There's people who can participate in one exchange. There's people who can participate in another. There's people who can participate in both. So we'll take a look at that, the realities there, and how you can participate. Because there are a lot of people around the world who are now or in the future going to potentially buy some Sparklet. And you can go ahead and move on through, get on through, get moving towards a direction that makes the most sense for you to get some Sparklet staked and maybe get some prizes along the way. We'll go over those details. We are also going to go over a couple things that are important for every Tuesday in the season. We are in Sizzle Season. We do have the Sizzle Season week 1 drops, and I have a secret, and it is embarrassing, but I do have a secret. Parent Structure 3, the Parent Specific Structure number 3 is open now for minting or for starting construction. So the opportunity is there for 24 hours. We do have another couple reminders about the reality of Sparklet, because it's this conversation. It continues to be a conversation of the realities of, the token and what Upland's doing with it, what's Upland's not doing with it, the token with a dollar sign in front of it, the token in the game of Upland. And it's definitely worth having that conversation again, because we're 2 weeks on. We're 2 weeks on to Sparklet being a thing that exists as a token, as a piece of crypto outside the game of Upland. And there's still some things swirling on it. So let's be on the same page. Let's continue on with Sparklet. And again, the big point here is Upland is founded in many, many ways on utility and what can be done with what can be done with structures in the game of Upland. I'm waiting for more utility there, but there's some there. What can be done with the properties themselves, building structures on them, being able to put a meta vector in a structure, being able to decorate those structures and those properties. And of course, Sparklet is part of that utility that allows for a lot of that to happen. And we'll get into a little bit more of the, staking versus selling versus importing and sitting on it in some wallet somewhere. And then, of course, it is the start of the week here. It's this, or Tuesday here, but we're getting started through the week. We're getting started through Sizzle Season. Things are still developing, and we got a couple things that we're looking forward to later this week. So for tonight, thank you so much for being here Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. PT. We do this show. We do like to get the disclaimer out of the way so that we can kind of say, hey, don't hold me liable. No, all views and opinions expressed by myself, they're mine and mine alone. Shouldn't be taken as game strategy and financial advice. They don't represent the game of the Upland, the team of Upland. Try to differentiate a little bit from the facts of the announcements that Upland puts out and some speculation and opinions and context. Context usually is meant to be factual, but it does go outside of Upland's direct statements. And then, of course, anything that we do have guests who do come on and have contributions. We're glad to have them. They have their own opinions. Shouldn't be taken as game strategy advice. Shouldn't be taken as financial advice. Doesn't represent the game of Upland, the team of Upland. Myself, the Goldsmith of the Cafe Nightly Show. Easy enough. Well, let's go and take a look at a little bit of confusion and hurt feelings, and maybe there shouldn't be hurt feelings if we know what we're looking at. And again, let's look at the facts and the reality. Sparklet, that's $ Sparklet. Staking leaderboards are here. Reminder, stake between now and August 12th, and again, this leaderboards have already started, at 9 a.m. for every 1,000 Sparklet, that's a $ Sparklet, users stake, they'll earn 1 point per hour. The top 5 players on the BitGet specific leaderboard who stake the most Sparklet will each win a special limited edition BitGet car. plus 5 random selected stakers will also get a S1 car. Here's the link to the leaderboard for the BitGet users. Additionally, the top 5 users on the leaderboard for the other players, the players not on BitGet, on other staking platforms or options, will receive a S1E car, plus 5 randomly selected stakers will also receive a S1E car too. So top 5 get an S1E, 5 additional random draws get an S1E. And here's the leaderboard for all other people. You can take a look at all those leaderboards. So let's take a look at these two. Bam, bam. We can take a look. Oh, there we go. Here's a leaderboard. Sparklet, bridged, and staked. You have to bring in the game of Upland, get it staked in. Bridged and staked, top of the list. Oh my gosh, this is for BitGet. Abdullah86SA. I am amazed. I am shocked. I am surprised. Dizzy Disky, I am amazed. I am shocked. I am surprised. Matsuda R, I am amazed. I am shocked. I am surprised. Lackey, I am amazed. I am shocked. I am surprised. Ray Ram, I don't know who that is. I am amazed. I am shocked. I am surprised. Again, when we talk about the top of these leaderboards, and Swarly 129, number 6 here, Atomic Bomb, names we know there as well. When we talk about volume, when we talk about rewards for the most, it's often going to be some of the same people. It's going to be the people who are the most for this contest and the most for that contest, because those are the people who are choosing to invest or choosing to put, or potentially in a position when other people might not be, to buy their way on these leaderboards, because that's essentially what a lot of these leaderboards are. You have to have volume to have the volume. You're either moving USD around to get there, you either accumulate it in one way or another and moved it out, moved it back in. There's a lot of ways you could be doing this, but ultimately it requires some economy of scale, some investment of time, energy, money, something to get to the top of these leaderboards. So yes, you will see some of the same names. Ultimately, they earned it the same way you earned your position. You earned your position by investing an amount of time, money, or effort to get something done and something staked. They just happen to have either that more time or that more money, or maybe the more effort invested that allows them to push their way up higher on these leaderboards. Again, the BitGet side, a little bit better prizes. A little bit better prizes. That Corvette that says BitGet on the side, there's no question. That is a better prize than an S1E. There's not a question in the world that that's the case. If you are not using or able to use BitGet, you're using some other exchange, guess what? You do have a suboptimal prize, a prize that is not as good as the prize for the people on the BitGet side. That said, the prizes are still there on both sides of the fence. There are many, many opportunities that are weighted one way or the other. They seem to be weighted towards a US-based audience because of time zones. In this case, this is definitely not weighted towards a US-based audience because the US-based audience can't participate with BitGet. There are a lot of other countries, Australia being one of them, the majority of the world being the rest of it, that can participate with BitGet. It's a relatively limited list that cannot participate with BitGet. There's some provinces in certain parts of the world, or some territories or states in some parts of the world that can't participate while the rest of their nation can. That is a reality. I believe BitGet is restricted, if I remember correctly, if I know correctly, in portions of Canada, but not all of Canada. It is restricted or is unavailable in all of the United States. It is, again, there's different provinces in different places in different parts of the world where you're restricted from use of BitGet. Reality, we've had this conversation. It's not worth saying, ooh, why was the choice made? I think the choice was made because having a participation with BitGet likely helped bring or allow participation with other platforms. BitGet gave a certain amount of size, even though it didn't bring the same level of compliance or the same tie or the same opportunity for people in the United States or other countries. It did still open up a very broad market, a lot of user accounts. It made sense. And that's what Upland did. For those who are on this leaderboard up towards the top, congratulations. There's a lot more time left between now and the 12th. Keep that in mind. The 5 that we see here is the top 5. The top 10 we see here, no guarantees. Getting on the board gets you that chance of having a random draw. So even if you're not going to be the top 10, top 15, if you're on the board in general, you have a chance. You have a chance of being randomly drawn for an S1 on this board or an S1E on the other board. Let's go look at the other board. Again, this is one of those congratulations where congratulations due, with the caveat that nobody's won anything yet. Very early days, very, very early days. Skip 720. I do know that, man. Skip 720. 27,970.83 points. Good going. There's a lot of time left here. Elijah Judah, look at that. GFGHHHG, somebody who I've had the pleasure, the chance to meet in person, somebody who's done some pretty incredible things with some 3D printing with Upland models. I really appreciate what he's done. Elijah Judah, obviously the Upland Player of the Year. You're going to see people who are very active in the game of Upland at the top of these leaderboards. Recurrier, I know that name. I know that person. RAF0777. If you are somebody who's been really active with Upland for 4 or 5 years, I haven't seen you. I'm sorry. My eyes have been blind to you. If you are new, congratulations. Welcome into that club. Like I said, the top 4 here on this list, people I know, people I've met personally. Literally, people I've met personally because they're very high or they have a lot of participation in the game of Upland. And RAF0777, if I don't know your username and I know you in person, more power to you there as well. But if I don't, that's a great thing too. It means that there's Upland's mobility. There's the ability for people to come into the game of Upland, especially with Sparklet, and have some participation. Did you say someone is high? Yeah, they're high. They're high up on the status of a lot of assets. They're high up on the status of pushing their way up the leaderboards. They're high on life, geez. High on life. Especially, get Tally involved. Tally will tell me not to get so excited about being high. But yeah, these are people. Again, if I go 6, that's another person I met in person. Somebody who puts a lot of effort in the game of Upland. It makes sense that they're top 6 here of Das Mustang. Prospect Gold is a name I've actually seen as well. I mean, there's a lot of it. TAAA. That's someone I don't know personally, but it's another account that I've known quite a bit over the last couple of years. Obi-Wan Pierre. These are all names we see again and again and again because they participate to a large degree. The more you participate, the higher you tend to end up on these type of either investment, because this is an investment. There is a certain amount of USD or value or time that's involved in this, or the amount of participatory contest when you have to do something a lot of times with or without investment of money. Those are ones that we see some of the same names on there. These are the people who put the time and the effort and some of the investment in to get there. So when we look at these, I do want to put that point out one more time. It's a different set of prizes for the 2 leaderboards. The 2 leaderboards are still getting a total of 10 prizes. 5 for the top 5, additional 5 for the random draw. And that's the same on both sides. It's just that the BitGet is getting a little better prizes. BitGet has gotten some would argue, better prizes earlier on. There was some staking rewards, the rewards pool that had really lush rewards in that original staking pool as well. So people have noticed that. But the reality is BitGet was the first exchange that Upland listed with, or one of the first 3, but really the first one that Upland listed with. It was a listing that helped Upland secure some of the other listings, kind of like get your foot through the door, and then you can keep on coming in the rest of the way. So it is notable, and it is worth noting that this may be something that it comes part and parcel. It's what made sense for Upland, and people who were able to participate with BitGet might have got a better reward than people who weren't able to. Next time around, I might get a reward as someone in the United States that people in parts of the rest of the world may not be able to get because they're not in the United States. And that's sometimes how things work, especially with a global game, especially with multiple pockets of regulation and judicial jurisdictions throughout the world. All right, let's take a look at a couple other things. Here it is. Look at that. It's lovely. New week, new parastructure. It's not new week, new parastructure. It's new day, new parastructure. Again, This is a 1 day only. They said week. This is a 1 day only opportunity I planned. There was a parish structure yesterday, which was in the same week. But this is a new day, new parish structure. You have until tomorrow, the 7th of August, 9 a.m. PT to get this constructed, or at least started. You got to start it. You got to keep the minimum spark staked on it once you have it started. And you got to obviously continue to keep at least the minimum spark staked, if not more, until the time it is fully constructed. This is an opportunity to expand your number of overall structure types. It is an opportunity for you to get this lovely structure, which, again, is gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And it is your opportunity to potentially build out Paris with some structures that are going to stand out from other cities in the game. Start construction on the newest part of Paris, the Paris unique structure on one of your properties before it's too late. And again, Paris, it has to be in Paris. It has to fit. You have to put the minimum spark on. You have to leave it there. Done deal. You don't have to be in the city when you go to do this. So if you have the property already purchased, you can go and start the construction wherever your block explorer is in the game of Upland. Let's take a look at this. And this is where my little bit of confessions and apologies go. And I apologize to myself. I guess I don't owe anyone else this, but I apologize to myself. And the mistake is mine. So foot in my own mouth. Week 1 of the Sizzle Season Pass drop happened today. AKA the first drop of the season. Cosmetics are live for the season. Wow! I made a mistake. The mistake I made was I went to go and burn my cosmetic pass earlier, and for whatever reason, it was too early. Whatever the case was, the burn wasn't open yet. We could go and buy the pass up front, but we couldn't burn it immediately. So I didn't burn it, and I held on to it. And I could have burnt it afterwards. I could have burned it afterwards because the burning did open up. And I didn't, and I didn't, and I didn't, and I didn't. And I didn't because I had not burnt it at the deadline to burn 9 a.m. PT this morning. I had not burnt it by that deadline. I missed forever and ever, so long as I live. I missed the week 1 of the 2024 Sizzle Season cosmetic. It's the first one I've missed so far, but the week 1 of Sizzle Season 2024, I will never have those cosmetic drops. I made a mistake. I cannot trade for those. I can look at my friends who have them, but I will never have those in my account. And that's my own doing. You know, I forgot to get them burned. Like I said, there was a very short period of time where you couldn't do so, where they were available, where they got distributed, where they were not burnable. That happened to me, or there was a burn error for a short period of time. But that burn error is long expired. I could have burnt it yesterday. I could have burnt it the day before. I could have burned it this morning before 9 a.m. PT. And this is your lesson. It's my lesson learned. It's your lesson to have. Make sure you burn those things before the cutoff for the week. And now that I burnt mine, which I did, I'm still going to get to week 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But I'll never have week 1 again. That's the reality. But let's take a look at those. Sizzle Season Drop 1 for the pass. Had to have them burnt 9 a.m. PT. Like I said, cosmetics are live now. Check out the drop and stay tuned for more Sizzling Sizzle Season. Sizzling Sizzle Season is a little bit of alliteration there. Cosmetics, more to come. More to come for the rest of the season. Let's go take a look. And before we do so, I will say, unfortunately, I can't show you it on my account because I made a mistake and didn't burn it in time. I owned it, but didn't burn it in time. We can definitely, all together now, watch the pass. Boom, 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 boom. On fire. Block for overlay. On fire is what it says. This Sizzle Season overlay. This is an interesting one. Is the letters that cycle through, and then blocking store background. Woof, for property that fire. You get the Sizzle Season badge. Obviously, if you burn this week, you burn next week, you burn the week following. You still get the same badge for Sizzle Season 2024 cosmetic drops. Pretty easy, pretty simple. That is what it is. Again, put a couple things here. Number 1, I will say it again. I said it before. This is not Upland's art style. We've seen a couple other things with Upland's art style that felt more Uplandy. Yes, Cheese, it will be okay. I will survive. But that felt more Uplandy. This feels very much its own style. I've kind of already pinpointed it. I've said it before. I'll say it again. They made this card. They did the lettering. They did a lot of things intentionally. It smells, it feels, it tastes a little bit like Hearthstone. I can't say that Upland was inspired by Hearthstone. I assume they weren't. I assume it's just, great minds thinking alike. But that's the way it feels. That's the way my eyeballs see it. And they will never unsee it. And if you take a look at Hearthstone and you come from the Hearthstone background, you probably will see it the same way. Just because the eyes see what the eyes see. The other thing that is interesting here is we kind of saw that when that pass reveal was happening, when we were watching the video. We saw this pass and this pass and this pass. It looks a little different. It looks a little different. That's the rarities. We had the rarities this season. This is the first season we have these. I have my own thoughts on it. I have made them known. I will suffice to say, I think we're mixing two genres of legits here. We have a specific reason why we have the passes. We buy them so we can burn them. We burn them so that we can have season drops. Boom, done deal. We also have rarity drops. We have things that we have legits that we collect. We collect them to have various rarities. And maybe I want to keep that forever and ever as a collectible. And that's the reason why I have that. Mixing the collectible and the burnable, I don't think it makes as much sense if when you burn that collectible, it doesn't give you a greater value than if you burn the lower class version or the higher class version of that collectible. Burn a common, burn a rare, burn an exclusive, burn a shoopity-doopity-dooey. They're going to be the same. They're going to be the same results. And the interesting thing about that is they are, again, you can burn them or not burn them. But the interesting thing is, it doesn't seem at this point, and the Upland could change that there's any benefit to collecting all four. Maybe there is. Maybe there will be. Maybe people want to check it off the list and say, oh, I'm an Upland completist. I got all four of these. Yay, I'm so cool. Maybe that's something that is a good piece of the trophy case for certain people, and that's what they're excited about and interested in, and that's fine. What I do feel about this as well is it is interesting. It is interesting that Upland says common, rare, exclusive as opposed to common, exclusive, rare, because on properties for collections, it's common, limited, exclusive, rare, and rare doesn't come before exclusive. It's an interesting idea that we have that flipped a little bit as well. I will put one more thought on these. If you want to participate in the cosmetic drops, 3 things. Number 1, it's a USD purchase for your pass. Number 2, you burn your pass so that you can get drops for the rest of the season. Number 3, you still have time to do so for the season. You will miss irrevocably. You will miss irrevocably the first drop, just like me. No retroactivity. You can never get that first season drop. But there's still another 5 weeks to go. So if it's something you want to participate in, by all means, participate in, just like I did. I burnt it after the week 1. We'll get week 2 through 6. Pretty simple, pretty easy. Something I'm looking forward to doing so. Something you definitely can do as well if you choose to do so. And then one more detail on these I like to put out there is the drops you get, the cosmetic drops you get, are kind of a little bit of a flag, a flag of participation. You participated at this time. You chose to buy a pass. You chose to burn a pass. You were in the game. You were playing at this time. That is not something that's transferable. So you're not going to get any value out of this. Really, I don't know how you're going to, unless somebody gamifies it or somebody, uses that as a gate pass to say, ooh, you have Sizzle Season badge. You can come play this version of our Layer 2 game. That's fine if somebody chooses to do that, because they can. But ultimately, you're not going to sell the cosmetics. You can't. You're not going to, if you've burnt it, if you've burnt your pass, you're not going to be able to exchange that capability of receiving drops with anybody else. So it really does fall under the category of, This is something you're doing for your own account. You're doing it for your own reasons. Maybe part of your own reasons are you really want to stand out and you want to communicate with other players in the game of Upland, something specific about your choices in the game, and therefore maybe it translates into being able to sell more product out of your meta venture. Maybe it translates into being more visible when you're selling your properties. I don't necessarily believe that is a hard and fast rule, but again, I mean, there's all sorts of reasons why people could want to participate in cosmetic events. It does help you stand out a little bit. It does change the way you see your own account as you participate in a game of Upland. All right. Yesterday we did have the Summer Games. We already had this discussion. Summer Games Speed Champion results. Congratulations to everyone who did participate in the Summer Games Championship Series with a running, obviously, in Track Hero. We are well into the racing with cars. Keep in mind, we went over that as well. So that's something to keep in mind and continue to participate with. And I'm looking forward to that continued having events that happen throughout the season. Just like we have structure ornaments kicked off. And since we said structure ornaments, we have to come back and look at structure ornaments. And that's because we have a sale that's kicking right off. Let's get the details. Let's get the details of the structure ornament sale. Whoop-de-doop-de-doo. All right, let's take a look at those structural ornament sales. There's a couple things I want to point out. These are USD sales. Registration's open today, August 6th at 9 a.m. PT. It runs into tomorrow the 7th, 8 a.m. PT, with a sale starting at 9 a.m. PT. The sale is done by registration. Registration gets you a spot. You can have a chance to buy one until the list is all the way through, and then there's unlocked to allow people to buy a second with cooldown periods. Here's the interesting thing. As a USD only sale, you're spending USD for a asset in the game of Upland that is transferable, is going to be something that you can use a utility and pull it off your property, put it back on your property, sell it to somebody else next season, have them put it on their property, have them take it off their property, have them sell it next season to somebody else. So these are NFTs with full functionality. These are going to be USD only sales. If you buy them in USD, you can sell them in UpX if you choose to do so. If somebody buys them in USD, they can sell them to you in UpX if they choose to do so. But direct from Upland, USD sale only. There will be between 100 and 600 of each of these structure ornaments. That's because different structures have different amounts that are available or amounts that are made in the market. So we have different amounts of structure ornaments available for each. We have the following to keep a mind on. These are already available, this whole list here. I'm not going to read every single one. We have a whole list of stuff that's already available in the game of Upland. You can use them now. You can participate. You can buy them. You can have them. You can deal with them. That's there. That's there, and that's open in the game of Upland right now. All of these, as of today, you can go and buy those if you choose to do so. This sale that's happening tomorrow, registrations today, let's go take a look at those items for sale. Sneak here. Come over here. We're going to go here, and 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 we're going to log into Upland. And once I'm in Upland, we're going to take a look at those registrations. We'll see that Goldie's already registered right now. We'll see that if you choose to register, you can be registered right now. But I will see that I'm already in line in those sales, and that the number, my position, the line will be coming out tomorrow night between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. PET tomorrow, and I'll be able to take a look and see where I line up. All right. Let's take a look down here. Sizzle Season Micro House, $13.99. A total of 400 of those available. $15.99. I can have a Sizzle Season 2024 Ranch. There are 300 of those available for tomorrow. I happen to already be registered. I'm going to register again. Let's do this again. Register for another dang one. This is Sizzle Season 2024 Small Townhouse version 2. Let's register for this one as well. This one I'm registering for right now is going to be a total of $15.99. This is Small Townhouse version 1. Again, same price for either. 300 available for either version 1, version 2. Flat roof versus slope roof. That's the difference between version 1 and version 2 of Small Townhouse. Sizzle Season 2024 Luxury Ranch House. There's a total of 100 of these ornaments available But take a look here, and I register for the sale for tomorrow. We see the price is going to be $17.99 for that structure ornament. And then if we do go and look at our next option is the luxury modern house, $17.99 of that. Again, 100 of those ornaments available. Keep in mind, you're spending USD, you're getting an ornament, you're getting 0 UPIX along the way. This sale options works separately. It's a separate option, separate offering from what we see when we have those sweetener sales. The Sizzle 2024 Townhouse, there are going to be a grand total of 300 of those available. $17.99 is the cost. And finally, the apartment building, the most expensive option, but one that there's a lot of in the game. A lot of people have those apartment buildings and they like them. It's $19.99. It is the largest structure. It has the most units that are built into it. Some people will say it makes sense that it's considered to be the largest structure ornament, having the largest cost. There'll be 200 of those available. Again, $19.99. 2 more iterations here, 2 more notifications, 2 more things to keep in mind. Number 1, there are those structure ornaments in the game of Upwind that are made UGC. They have their own price points. A lot of those are sold in USD. Those are things you can purchase and be qualified or used to qualify in the structure ornament contest. Notation on that, you have to make sure it's Sizzle Season. You have to be able to fit it on a structure that you own. It has to be in a collection. The property has to be a collection that is completed. It can't be a quote-unquote collection property without that collection completed. And finally, you have to have it up and leave it up, and it has to be on at the time of a snapshot to get points towards the structure ornament, the Sizzle Season structure ornament snapshot, which happens periodically every Tuesday between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. PT. All right. Pretty easy, pretty simple there. I do want to make 2 more notes here when we look at these structure ornaments. Notation. If you're new to structure ornaments, yes, it takes a while to complete a structure. And once your structure is complete, that's when you can decorate it. You can't decorate it with a structure ornament before your structure is complete. You do have to have a structure on the property you want to decorate, and you have to take the box of the structure ornament, put it on that property, and then decorate that structure with a matching structure ornament. So if it's a townhouse, you have to have a townhouse ornament. You have to have the box of a townhouse ornament on that property, and it has to fit, because you can have a property that has a townhouse on it that doesn't have room for the crate, for the box, in addition to that structure. Therefore, you can't get the ornament on the structure because you can't get the ornament's box or its crate on the structure. Definitely worth noting. Definitely seems a little weird. It is the reality of the game. And there's another present here, another register and win opportunity tomorrow. And I say win. Win is kind of essentially you get the spot you want, you buy it if you want to buy it, with a caveat that these are in USD as well. And these aren't cheap. They're not. So the Paris train terminal, there's a grand total of 9 of these available, $474.99. That is in USD. That is not in UPIX. Ooh, it's pricey. The Saint Denis train terminal, 9 of those available, $474.99 for each of those. And then we're going to have finally the Paris International Airport terminal. There's going to be 14 of those available. Each of those are going to be 1,000. Ooh, doggy. I'm going to make this font bigger because I'm an old man and my eyes are tired. It's going to be a grand total of $1,535.99 if you want that terminal. You have to get lucky. You have to get placement on those, though. Registration is between now and 8 a.m. PT tomorrow. When you go to get an opportunity to mint, you got to have the USD ready, your card ready, and be able to make that purchase. You purchase that train terminal. And now the new Upwind rules are they're gonna drop it for you into your wallet. There was some issues before with it being reserved and people traveling and people minting, and they didn't mint it, and they're gonna sit on a property unminted for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Intentionally, they use that UPIX to do something else with. They come back and they mint that later. That's not happening this time. You're gonna get dropped that terminal. That terminal is yours. Once it's dropped, that means that it can be part of the game of Upland for people to be able to use that as transportation to send and to travel. very much so, and very much into the future as we see these terminals, it is going to continue to be a portion of the travel network. You do get a portion, you get a fractional share of the cost of travel that originates at your terminal and heads somewhere else in the game of Upland, on the map, around the map of the game of Upland. And that's great, and that's a great part of it. We do see that sends actually increase on those properties as well. People are saying to those properties quite a bit. Terminals have always been a point of excitement. I want to put two things out there. Number one, now that we have cars in the game of Upland, people have more transportation choices. It's a different opportunity than it has been in the past. The second thing I like to put out with tournaments that have people keep in mind is different cities have different travel dynamics. Ultimately, it's when people travel out that you would be getting your share of the travel fees. It's when people are traveling out, typically sending to your property in order to grab the plane or grab the train. It's when people send to your properties in order to travel out of the city that you are getting the benefit. You're getting that send fee of people sending to that property. So not every city is going to be created equal. People traveling between one city and the next, depending on how cities are linked, depending on how cities behave when it comes to whether they're minted out, what activities are going to be there, what people have their homes there, their home address there. Those all are going to make a difference or create a different situation for each of the cities in the game of Upland. So it is something to keep in mind. It is something to consider. And ultimately, the pricing ends up being the same almost across the board. Not every single train station. There's been different prices over time. But we have a pretty strong consensus on train stations. And we've got a couple of cities that are going to have less utility when it comes to travel in, travel out. The only people who are going to be traveling out of St. Denis at this point by train, and again, probably long term, are going to be the people who are going to be traveling to Paris. People who are in Paris are going to be traveling back and forth to St. Denis at this point. If there is more train routes, more travel routes out of St. Denis to other parts of Europe, then yes, absolutely, that's going to be a good thing for those terminal owners. If there are going to be people who are coming in and traveling back and forth between two cities quite a bit, you're going to get that bump of travel. And it's going to be a reality there. However, there are more opportunities, like I said, to travel. There's different ways to travel, like cars. There are may or may not be a lot of strong, compelling reasons to be in Saint Denis, waiting to travel out of Saint Denis. Once we've ended with the minting window, once we've ended with the city release, there may not be a lot of people traveling back out because there might not be a lot of people in the city. I like all those caveats to be there. That said, I've wanted to have a terminal for years. I'd probably buy one if I could, with a reality that, it's not always beneficial, and maybe, just maybe, it's less beneficial now than it was in the past. I don't know how that works, but $1,500 is a lot of money for a digital asset, especially since you don't know everything about how that's going to function. But there are certain things that are there. People have talked about the future of what they could do with those properties as well. You can put a meta venture on them. So do your own thing with your eyes open on those terminals if you want to participate. As we continue to see the game of Upland evolve, there will be evolved utility, or there will be a differentiated travel maps as we continue to go through. For the rest of this week, like I said, we are in Sizzle Season. We do have Structure Ornament Contest leaderboard open now. We do have racing going on this season, Sizzle Season Racing. What is not a bad idea to keep in mind, and we'll have a special episode of this maybe in the not so distant future. But racing is racing, so there's a couple things that are new to racing. We have dynamics of turning and braking that were not something 4 months ago, 5 months ago. They were not a part of the game of Upland. If you're coming into racing because of the potential of prizes along the way, then maybe you refresh yourself on racing, or figure racing out before you go and you do a bunch of staked races and you lose every single one because you don't know how to race properly. So that is something definitely worth looking into. The other thing with races that I like to point out, for people is there is a difference between racing against the AI, racing against other people, especially when it comes to staked races. You have to have a minimum number of staked racers to get points if you're trying to climb up that leaderboard. And there's a difference between AI and a person, because those people are going to fight a lot harder than AI to get first place. So keep that in mind. But for now, I'm going to say thank you so much for being here. Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. PT. We get together, we do this thing, we talk about what's going on, news in the game of Upland, and looking forward to more news. Looking forward to it on a daily basis. We keep our eyes open, especially when we're looking at Sparklet, and know that there are differences between the way I'm playing the game and the way other people play the game and the overall Upland ecosystem. Realities are that some type of gameplay that's not going to be as beneficial for me, something that I don't want to do personally, it might be someone's main form of gameplay. So sometimes when we see things look a little bit like, ooh, that's not great for me, maybe it's great for somebody else. And I look at that when we talk about Sparklet and how Sparklet's been running and how Sparklet continues to run. And the other thing on Sparklet I want to say is, if you don't have the dollar sign in front, or you're not talking about it as a crypto, you're really talking about it on utility. And what happens on the crypto side does not matter as much if you are holding onto Sparklet as utility. If you're waiting for Sparklet to drop to a certain point because you want to buy a bunch of it, then yeah, absolutely. Look at that stock price on a daily basis. Did it hit your buy point? If it hit your buy point, go buy a bunch. I'll get behind that and I'll agree with you, and I'll say, okay, go ahead, do what you want to do. But it definitely is worth keeping that in mind, that if I've got Sparklet in the game of Upland, I have to worry about how I can use, how I can stake, what's going to happen at Sparklet. If I'm buying and selling Sparklet outside the game of Upland, I would argue bringing it to Upland to its native wallet to get it staked and get it running and get it working before you get too awful crazy about holding on to the Sparklet long term. Baggy and Upland. Thank you so much for being here again. We'll see you again tomorrow. We'll do this again tomorrow. If you're in the Upland Cafe Discord, feel free to unmute your mics. The floor is yours.